You felt it, that tightening in your chest, the racing thoughts, the sudden suffocating self-consciousness as you step into a room or prepare to speak. Social anxiety can make you feel like you're constantly under a spotlight, every move scrutinized, every word weighed and found wanting. This isn't a character flaw, it's a deeply ingrained biological and psychological response. Your nervous system, specifically the amygdala, your brain's ancient threat detector, is misinterpreting social cues as existential threats. A neutral expression is perceived as disapproval. A moment of silence is interpreted as your failure to be engaging. This triggers a cascade of stress hormones, primarily cortisol and adrenaline, that flood your system, preparing you for a fight, flight, or freeze response that never truly resolves in a modern social context. You can't run from a meeting, so you freeze, becoming quiet and withdrawn, or you fight, becoming defensive and irritable. Your mind becomes a battleground of imagined judgments, a courtroom where you are both the prosecutor and the defendant, creating a heavy, exhausting ego burden that you carry into every interaction. This burden is the constant low-grade hum of a simple question: what do they think of me? It drains your cognitive resources, making it impossible to be present, to listen deeply, or to express yourself authentically. You are performing, not participating. But what if you could shed that burden entirely? What if you could walk through the world unencumbered by the weight of 1,000 potential opinions? The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a man who lived his life under the most intense public scrutiny imaginable, offers a profound insight in his private journal, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things." This is one of the most powerful psychological truths ever articulated. The disturbance, the anxiety, does not originate from the external event, the crowded room, the presentation, the conversation. It originates from your internal interpretation of that event. He understood that the vast majority of external opinions are not only outside of your control, they are also fundamentally irrelevant to your intrinsic value. This is the very essence of his ego invisibility cloak, a mental and philosophical state where you consciously choose to make your ego, your sense of self-worth, invisible to the judgments of others. By doing so, you render their opinions powerless over your inner peace. This isn't about becoming arrogant or aloof, it's about a radical recentering of your locus of evaluation. You shift your validation source from the fickle, unpredictable world of external approval to the stable, controllable world of your own character and intentions. To begin activating this cloak, you must practice the audience of one method. This is a deliberate, preemptive ritual designed to rewire your brain's automatic threat response before you enter any potentially anxiety-inducing social situation. Before a meeting, a party, or even a simple phone call you've been dreading, take a full 60 seconds for yourself. Find a quiet space, close your eyes, and take 3 deep diaphragmatic breaths. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4, and exhale slowly through your mouth for 6. This simple act of controlled breathing activates your vagus nerve, sending a powerful signal to your parasympathetic nervous system that you are safe. It is a biological off switch for the fight-or-flight response. Once you feel a sense of calm, visualize yourself surrounded by an invisible, protective barrier. This is not a wall to keep people out, it is a permeable filter for judgment. It lets connection, information, and kindness in, but it harmlessly deflects external validation and criticism. Now ask yourself the critical question: whose judgment truly matters to my well-being right now? The Stoic answer is uncompromising. Your judgment based on your own virtues and intentions. Cognitive behavioral therapy provides the modern framework for this ancient wisdom. It teaches us to identify and challenge our automatic negative thoughts, such as, "Everyone thinks I'm awkward." The audience of one method preemptively challenges these thoughts by establishing a new, more rational core belief. My focus is on acting with integrity and kindness, not on winning an imaginary approval contest. Do this today. Before your next social interaction, however small, take that moment to breathe and set your intention. Consciously affirm to yourself with conviction, "My worth is not on trial here. My value is inherent and is not determined by the fleeting thoughts of others. I am here to engage with integrity and presence, and external opinions are merely passing sounds in the air." This is not just a hollow affirmation, it is a declaration of your mental sovereignty. As you step into that situation, you will notice a subtle yet profound shift. There will be a lightness in your posture, a calm in your voice, and a clarity in your mind as the immense weight of perceived judgment begins to dissolve. This cloak protects you from the noise of others, but how do you handle the noise from within, the inner critic that echoes their imagined judgments long after the interaction is over? Continuing from our work on deflecting external judgment, we now turn the focus inward. The ego invisibility cloak is a powerful shield against the perceived opinions of others, but often the most persistent and damaging critic resides within your own mind. This inner voice can be relentless, replaying social blunders on a loop, magnifying your flaws, and using language you would never tolerate from another human being. So how do you silence that inner tormentor, the one that insists you're not good enough, that you said the wrong thing, that you are fundamentally lacking? The first step is to understand its origin. This inner critic is not an objective assessor of reality. Neurologically, it's often a product of an overactive default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for self-referential thought and rumination. When left unchecked, the DMN can get stuck in negative feedback loops, reinforcing old, painful narratives learned in childhood or from past negative experiences. It's a pattern of neural firing that has become habitual, a well-worn groove in your brain. In a strange way, this voice believes it is protecting you. By preemptively attacking you, it's trying to prepare you for the worst, to shield you from the shock of external criticism. But in its misguided attempt to protect, it creates a state of chronic self-surveillance and internal stress, flooding your system with cortisol just as surely as an external threat would. It is the ghost in your own machine. The Stoic philosopher Seneca offered a profound diagnosis for this condition centuries ago. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Your inner critic is the ultimate master of imagination. It constructs elaborate catastrophic scenarios from the smallest social misstep. It convinces you that a moment of awkwardness will lead to social ruin. The Stoic approach to this internal suffering is not to engage the critic in a brutal fight, which only gives it more energy and attention. Instead, the path is one of wise and dispassionate observation. Epictetus taught his students to challenge their impressions, to not give assent to thoughts that are destructive and untrue. When the critical thought arises, you must learn to see it for what it is, not a reflection of objective truth, but a burst of electrochemical activity, a phantom echo from the past. You must grant it no authority. You see the thought, you acknowledge its presence without judgment, but you do not fuse with it. You do not agree with its premise. You recognize it as a piece of mental weather, a passing cloud in the vast sky of your consciousness. This creates a crucial space between the thought and your reaction, and in that space lies your freedom and your peace. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that observes them. To make this philosophical principle a concrete practice, we can use the Stoic inner dialogue, a powerful technique that blends ancient wisdom with the evidence-based tools of CBT. The process is simple but requires consistent application. First, you must externalize the critic. Give it a name, perhaps something slightly comical or neutral like the scrutinizer, general worrywart, or simply the judge. This act of naming is a profound psychological tool. It immediately creates distance. The voice is no longer I, it is the opinion of. It transforms the critic from an all-powerful part of your identity into a separate, manageable entity. The second step is to change your relationship with it. When the critical thought appears, "You sounded so foolish when you said that." Do not fight it, suppress it, or believe it. Instead, greet it with a kind of detached, dispassionate courtesy. Mentally, you can say, "Ah, the scrutinizer has arrived. Thank you for your perspective. I have noted your concern." This is a powerful pattern interrupt. It acknowledges the thought without validating its content, disarming it of its emotional charge. The third and most crucial step is to apply the Socratic method to its claims, questioning it like a calm, rational philosopher. Challenge the thought directly. Is it 100% true that I sounded foolish? Search for evidence to the contrary. What did I say that was actually constructive? Then explore a more balanced and compassionate interpretation. Perhaps I was a bit nervous, but I still made a valid point. It is human to be imperfect. Finally, apply a utility test, a favorite tool of the Stoics. Does believing this thought help me achieve my goal of living with virtue and tranquility? Or does it simply create useless suffering? By consistently engaging in this calm, rational cross-examination, you are actively rewiring your brain. Each time you intercept the automatic negative thought and replace it with a reasoned, compassionate one, you weaken the old, toxic neural pathway and strengthen a new, resilient one. This is neuroplasticity in action. The payoff is a progressively quieter mind, a dramatic reduction in post-event rumination, and the development of a powerful ability to self-soothe. You transform from your own worst enemy into your own wise mentor. Do this today. The very next time your inner critic speaks, do not argue. Simply label it. That's the scrutinizer's opinion. And then calmly redirect your focus to the physical sensation of your breath or the details of the task in front of you. You are reclaiming your mental space, one thought at a time. Now that you can manage judgments from without and within, how do you proactively build a foundation of unshakable self-worth that doesn't need external validation at all?